even getting to talking to you, I have to say we only have one more weekend left for the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I have to say again, everything we've been talking about is not even beginning to describe what the actual experience is. What were my impressions when I went into the theater and you see the people in the robes that are part of the choir on the side wings, you know, holding their candles, all in monk's robes. When you see the entire set on stage there, and then of course the fabulous music by Gary and everything, and then you hear the amazing voices that are just so heavenly. And you know what, I've always loved music and I'm into music, but one thing I did not know was that every single performer was so on pitch and had such great voices. And you playing the Hunchback, let me get you in really close to the microphone there, you're so acrobatic, and to be able to move like that and sing while there's such changes going on in the set. I mean, you were literally running around and swinging while you were singing. I don't see much swinging and singing happening at the same time. So I was really super impressed. Absolutely, more than I can imagine. And that's why I'm so glad you could come. And first of all, let me just say bravo, bravo, bravo. Great job.
Thank you so much. A lot of people's souls went into this work. Angel in particular.
What did you do, Angel?
I'm the stage manager for the show.
Oh.
So I'm in charge of the backstage aspects. So getting the crew together, preparing for those scene changes to happen, running them dozens and dozens of times. Along with figuring out where the spotlight cues go, lighting, the fly rail, anything you see coming in from the ceiling, the nooses, and the, all the different magical elements, not to give too much away, but all of that is directly related to myself and my assistant stage manager, Christy. So we spend a lot of hours both inside rehearsals and in our collective living room figuring out all those moving pieces fit and work cohesively. So the two of us are sort of in charge of everything that you either don't see or you see, but it's not someone who's actually opening their mouth to do something.
Well, that is such an amazing thing. Now David Johnston, the director, and Andre Morissette, really known for unusual, seamless moving and almost a choreography of the set.
Sure.
Where nothing ever stops, and there were a couple of scenes. I remember the one where Will is talking about his temptation. It's like you almost feel like this desire, and there's the colors and there's the lighting. And
yes, during that number, Hellfire.
Yeah.
That's a particular favorite of everyone involved.
Boy, it was amazing how you could actually feel that energy of that motion working whilst the singing was going on. So I have to ask you, playing, and I'm sorry, let's give everyone your name. I didn't even introduce you properly.
No worries, I slipped in here a little late. But my name's David Tuttle, and I play Quasimodo in the production. And have you introduced yourself?
You're not your typical Quasimodo, I have to say, David.
Yes, this is something I've gotten a couple times now. I know I don't have any makeup or prosthetics making me particularly deformed.
You're a beautiful, angelic, can I say cherubic?
There you go.
You're a cherubic Quasimodo, which was kind of interesting in a way.
Well, thank you much. But that's actually...
And the purity of your soul comes through so beautifully in this role.
I really appreciate it. I really think that that's important to this production, though. It's something people need to understand, that the lack of prosthetics, the lack of effectual ugliness, is actually written into the script, and it's important to the show. In an attempt to humanize Quasimodo and sort of show the audience that the things he's being judged for and shunned for by society are only skin deep. They're not, there's no corruption in his actual soul, despite what he's told by Frollo throughout the whole piece. Yeah. But if people were just to look a little deeper and take another second to examine him, they'd find he's not ugly at all.
No, in fact, your heart goes out to your Quasimodo, because you feel his intense desire to please and to help, and yet he's so limited and literally chained from that possibility, and has to overcome so much to be able to express his good nature, which is being controlled by someone who's the head of Notre Dame, the church, who's very powerful. And so it's a lovely, more intense than I would have thought. Story.
It's not quite Disney. not the film.
But you know what was interesting? There was more. I think Peter told me about some of the, how it's going to work in, I guess is basically where your tower is. There are all these gargoyles, But I didn't realize that the gargoyles and the statues that you talk to, you interact with, and they're really your friends, and it's kind of your conscience and your inner self that talks to you through them, because you have no other friends.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a hidden theme about some mental disorder going on there. But that's...
I think it makes Quasimodo more relatable. It's an inner dialogue that we all carry with us.
Right.
Whether you're sitting in traffic or you're dealing with a life crisis or everything is as positive as it can be, we all have that inner monologue, that constant inner monologue. And it's interesting because as the play progresses, Quasimodo's inner monologue being the statues and the gargoyles, they transition from, attaboy, you're doing great, to what are you doing, to don't do this, to do that, and they have a wide range. And at one point we're very deep in the script and they become very comedic. It's almost like a sense of relief because he's so embarrassed that Esmeralda is going to see where he lives that he scrambles to find a hiding place, and it's a sweet little comedic moment, but it's his own conscience going, hide here, no, run over here, come back over here, and it's ourselves. It really is, and the more we can make sure that we're portraying that to the audience, the more obvious it becomes that Quasimodo is just like us. Even as a simpleton, even as a youthful person with a one-track mind, he still has those doubts, he still has those inner demons, and whether they're adorable gargoyles or voices in the car ride to work, they're prevalent.
Beautiful said, Angel.
Thank you.
And there is this heroic part of him that's being brought out through love. I mean, and in a way I was surprised what a love story it was between you and Esmeralda. I know she had two other love interests. One was the captain, of course.
Yeah, she's a very popular girl in the show.
Very popular and very beautiful, and she just was fantastic with her voice and their singing and everything. But, I mean, it's this tragic love story. And here, you are hoping for an impossible love, knowing that to have a chance to love someone. And then, in a way, I almost wanted to get mad at her because she encouraged you so much. She did encourage you in lots of ways, I felt, and it's like, and she was just so pure of heart too, but she recognized that in you, but she kind of led you on a little bit.
I would say that's kind of an issue that happens a lot nowadays. Being a good person doesn't entitle you to love there, and I think Danielle Delaunay, who plays Esmeralda, does an amazing job of offering up that pure, sincere
caring
kinship.
Yeah.
And myself, my Quasimodo that I'm playing, in no way at any point does it become sensual love for me.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's always just the purest, most blissful human connection.
But the hope that you have for wanting that love forever, and you use the terms, forever, and it comes up a few times.
Yeah, I say a bride at one point. But for Quasimodo, his only education of love comes from his instruction from Frollo and from the Bible.
It's true.
So it's
true.
Very much the wholesome religious man and wife aspect when I
and there's
say
some
bride.
point where this lovely song where you say, from looking where you are at your high point of your prison, which is the church tower, looking down on the rest of the world without ever being able to interact, to realize you see that love and that glow that people have, and you see it between the captain.
Heaven's Light, that's actually my favorite song in the
Light
show.
And it's so, and then you realize that is something you want that you can't have. It's very heartbreaking and sad in a way to know that you see that love and you were hoping for that, and that indeed you still will love her, but you can't have it because you could see that she loves the captain.
Yes.
I think, just to chime in here, I think that Heaven's Light is also very symbolic, because not only is it a opportunity for Quasimodo to realize what he wants, but it's yet another opportunity for that mirrored reflection to society. We are all constantly looking for our other half, or our definition, or our bride, and it's sometimes difficult to be happy for others in that position, instead of looking down on these lovers in a glow and saying, oh, that's so wonderful that as co-humans, I can appreciate that for them. Instead, even Quasimodo, who has no experiences, is like, boy, when's that going to come for me? You know, it's me, even still. And it's so naturally inbred into us to not let somebody else just have it, you know. And very, very, pretty clearly on in at least the second act, it's obvious that Esmeralda is not going to choose Quasimodo. I mean, it's not something that's saved for the end, you know. It's not I'm not breaking the plot line for you, but that gives the opportunity for several scenes of Quasimodo processing these feelings of, you know, just because I can't have her doesn't mean that I don't want happiness for her. And I think that's something that we could all use a little bit more of, you know, people that we, you know, appreciating what others have without also meaning that we need that for ourselves.
I think that was beautifully said. And actually, I think that's a big part of what makes the second act so interesting, is a lot of it is Quasimodo's journey coming to terms with that. And in the very end, we have that moment between Calvin, who plays Phoebus, and I, where he's mourning over Esmeralda's body for a second.
Calvin's the captain, folks.
Yeah, he plays Captain Phoebus.
Yeah.
And we take a moment where he sees Quasimodo, and just a very mutual understanding where we actually hug over the body. And it's kind of Quasimodo at this point has come to terms with the fact he's realized what this love was, and it's wonderful and pure. And yeah,
I have to ask you your background, because you have such a beautiful voice, and at the same time, this is a very demanding role for you.
Yes.
I mean, you're really doing more active on stage, I think, probably than any other character, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Where did you come to this role from?
It's kind of a role that I think I've been preparing for my whole life. I'm glad to be here now, and I'm happy it's working. I've done a lot of movement theater in the past, and I've been climbing trees since I was a kid. Yeah, random story, I was once actually prescribed a football helmet by a doctor because I was just so full of energy. I used to run at walls full speed when I was like 3 years old. And
it comes in handy now, but you're not wearing a helmet in this role.
No.
So don't you, I have to ask you, because there are times I was almost afraid for you. Were you ever, is it difficult doing this very movement-oriented, gymnastic-oriented piece while you're singing your heart out and there's all these other moving parts going on stage? I mean, that's a very difficult role.
It's definitely difficult, but it's what you would call a labor of love. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing.
To speak to what he's doing as well, we were very blessed to have 3 separate spaces to work in throughout this process. So this was a 12-week process, and we started in a dance studio. So definitely not even close to the same size as the stage we're on now. Lovely and air-conditioned and freshly painted, but very small. And so we worked there for a few weeks, which is where we sort of discovered the characters and got to know each other as an ensemble and did some basic blocking. And then we moved to Mappa's warehouse space, and it's very warm. It's not air conditioned. But from the time that we moved into that warehouse space, our scenic designer, Jamie Tate, had all of our set pieces ready to go. So unlike a typical theater process where you are rehearsing without the set until the last 5 days before opening, we had several weeks to work on the set. And so between Jamie being in rehearsals every night and myself, we were constantly all checking in with each other. Where can we put more handholds to make this safer? How can we help him to hit that high note? Where can we plant this to make it the most important scenically, but also have the whole audience see him? So we had lots of dispersal. Yeah. All kinds of discussions where it was like, okay, are you comfortable? Can you climb it in this way? Do you feel safe? You know, but having the set designer be so ahead of schedule and so attentive to David's needs and Andre's needs, that makes a huge difference as far as our comfort level going into tech, and certainly Quasimodo's not adrenaline, what do you call it when your stamina, you know, having that opportunity. We didn't just have 5 days for him to monkey on this scaffolding set. We had weeks of building muscle and building patience and all those things that we needed to do to make it successful.
Yes, they were checking in with me every step of the way. Sorry, I do want to give a huge shout out to Jamie real quick though, because every time I asked for it, hey, it would be great if I could get one more foothold here or a crossbar on this section, it was there in an hour. Like,
well, and what's interesting is, even if you were doing these rehearsals, what's interesting on that Mac Castle Theater stage is there's other parts that even extend beyond the stage. Like you have the choir on the wings, all in their robes, part of it, the whole, and that's a full choir. It's a lot of people there.
It's actually half the choir. The other half is in the pit. You can't even see them. So we've got about 40 choir members.
And then you have the bells, and there's a few, of course, songs about that. The bells play an important part.
They're characters, for
but
sure.
you are actually pulling the ropes of the bells, and the bells on the side wings are actually moving perfectly in time and tune to the bells.
We have a wonderful team of bell ringers that joined us late in the process that are they on headset?
No, they take there's 4 women. We have Ute and Ingrid. We have Chris Sugars, who is a MAPPA board member, and then we have Marcy Smith, who is a MAPPA former actress. And the 4 of them signed on late in the process and came during Tech Week. And it's a visual cue. The ropes that Quasimodo pulls are affixed to a line set, just like any other type of moving scenery. So he's able to pull them without actually operating anything, a little bit of bungee cord out of sight, but it's a visual. Those bell ringers each have one rope that they are assigned to, and whenever he pulls that rope, they're up there swinging some bells. So that's
realistic.
There are a couple times I take the cue off of Gary too. He's giving me the conductor ring now.
Right.
But the big one, Marie, the main bell of Notre Dame, that's operated off stage on the fly system by KAOI, who is wonderful. He's actually giving and taking with me as I'm pulling the bell down. He's lifting me with his own strength, just real quick.
Well, it's a very intense sequence between
fun.
physically
and it took some
lifting
rehearsing.
him, and then we have a large bell that is over top of the stage in addition to these bell ringer positions, and that bell is on these toggles to ring back and forth. So we have 3 flymen on the show, and it takes all 3 of them for every single time Quasimodo lifts those bells. So we're busy back there.
Well, I'm really hoping we can somehow describe, which is so hard to describe, how big a production this really is.
I haven't wrapped my head around it yet.
The stage is so full of people with the lights, the set, the color, the music, the lighting, the sounds, and it is almost overwhelming when you hear the whole group going at one time. It's like, whoa, it is very, very powerful. And I've seen each map of performance, but Les Mis were kind of on those big last songs almost did, but this I think is even more as far as the whole group coming together.
Sure. I mean, I don't know the entire numbers, but I can say we have an orchestra of 18 people. So we have, 2 first violins, 2 second violins, 2 violas. I mean, lots of people in that regard. We have 37 choir members, 4 bell ringers, 27 cast members. I've got about 15 people between MAPPA's crew and the Max in-house crew. So we total over, I think I bought 85 opening night gifts and I was short. So we're looking at about 100 people, and that doesn't take into account the hundreds and hundreds of hours of volunteer labor, where our set designer Jamie has someone painting or finding props or something like that. I mean, just the number of people involved for any single day you come see the show is well over 100. So.
And the costumes were far exceeding what I even thought they might be. The costumes were amazing, of course, as well. Beautifully done, really lovely done, with great colors again too. Very dramatic, very dramatic. And I just want to let people know this is the last weekend you can go, and if you do not come, I have to say I was a little disappointed that all the seats weren't full. The audience loved it, but the seats were not all full, and I was disappointed in people not coming. The price is very affordable. The tickets start at $20, folks, and this is, I mean, as professional as you're going to ever get. I mean, it's one of the biggest shows and a memorable experience, and everyone was talking about it, and you just don't want to miss out on this amazing performance, and it just makes you feel good about the talent. And the work and the spectacular vision of this great show, which you'll never forget. I mean, you can see a lot of movies, you can go to different things, you can go to concerts. It's not the same as what you're going to see with this 100 people, huge performance that's been working for months and months to bring about this spectacular performance. And so I really want to encourage people to get tickets and not miss it. Now, it's Friday and Saturday. That's the last night performances, and there's a matinee on Sunday. But please, folks, get out there, get your tickets. Do not miss this one. You will be so happy that you did. And I kind of wish you could go on. I mean, it's like I see you do all this work, and I kind of wish it could be another weekend. It's like, But I mean, people don't realize how expensive putting on a production like this is at the Castle Theater. It's a huge, huge amount of money involved in putting something like this on. I do have 2 tickets to give away for this weekend. And yes, we do have 2 tickets to give away. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. And if you call right now to 244-9533, 244-9533, the first caller will get a pair of tickets to go see the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and you will be very glad. And we'll arrange which day that's for, but you need to call right now, 244-9533, 244-9533. Yeah, it's ringing out there. The phone's already been answered for that, so we gave those away. I want to talk to you a little bit about, David, on something like this. How do you psych yourself up? There's so much energy that you are needed to put out in a performance like this. I can't even imagine how you psych yourself up, and then even worse, how do you go to sleep at night after you're putting out something like this?
It's a little difficult on both ends, but I do have to say the biggest contributing factor to that is just all the wonderful people I'm working with. I really get my energy from just all the love and support I get from my amazing cast and crew, and everyone who's working to make it happen. Everyone is pouring their souls into this show, and being back there before showtime, you can't help but be energized by that. And every time I step off stage and need to get a drink of water, someone's back there with a back pat and a hug and some words of encouragement. They're just wonderful, and I have nothing but love for everyone involved.
I guess I remember Peter telling me when they found you in rehearsals, when they saw how athletic you were and how able to do this. I mean, they were convinced of that, but truthfully, like I say, I've been in music all my life, and I'm a real particular person about singing and singing on key and voices. And I have to say, this probably is one of the best voice, the visual is fantastic, the music is awesome, but the voices on this particular performance, I think, are the best yet. And your voice is fantastic. You have a pitch-perfect voice that is so pure and fits the role.
This
perfectly.
guy hits a high B flat while he's running around that set.
Yeah.
So I was asked his highest note and looked it up. It's a high B flat while he's running around.
Yeah.
Shout out to Russ Penny, my voice teacher back in DC.
What was your background? You did what?
I studied musical theater at Catholic University of America for about 2 years. I never finished out that degree. I left before to pursue a career, as I was prompted by our director of the program at the time. Because she said, in her words, no one really needs a theater degree. Most people don't even put them on their resumes nowadays.
Yeah.
So I went out and started working. But yeah, I've had plenty of excellent voice instruction from Jane Pesci Townsend, Russ Penny, and Rick Van Skyhawk as well, and a couple. And Virginia Flynn, I want to give a shout out to her. There have been a lot of wonderful people who have helped contribute and helped me work to where I am now. Another thing I want to say real quick, there have been several people during this process who have come up to me and said several times, Maui has done wonders for your voice. You've come so far in the last couple of years. I really sincerely appreciate the compliments. But I also want to put out there, this is the first time I'm actually playing a tenor role.
Oh, really?
So,
well, that's
yeah. So what you're hearing now are just my money notes up to those B's. I mean, I go up to E above that, but yeah, like playing Sky Masterson and other things I've done on Islands, those only go up to F. And they bottom out where I'm croaking to try and make those sounds, you know.
Wow.
So thank you all so much for the positive energy and the compliments, but you're just actually hearing my true voice for once.
It's absolutely heavenly. You do an amazing acting job besides the singing.
Thank you.
People have to imagine you're not standing upright. Most of the time you're actually hunched down. And so even though, and slouched over, right? Mm-hmm. So you're doing this, which is very difficult also to try to sing when you're not, shoulders aren't up, your shoulders are down when you're singing this. So I have to say I was just really blown away by that.
So much.
And by everyone on this amazing performance. It far exceeded anything I expected. It far exceeded any expectations. I have pretty high expectations out of MAPA because of their past history and what they've done. So I want to thank Peter. I know how hard Peter was there.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even use his Facebook Live in the show. He was actually behind a real video camera.
Went to almost as many rehearsals as I did.
Well,
Right.
and I do want to reach out to the Makana Aloha Foundation, our
Absolutely.
producer
Yes.
circle,
Yes,
and
thank
all of
you.
our
Yes.
donors, because we wouldn't be here without them.
We are very
Absolutely.
grateful.
Yeah.
I love you all. Yeah.
And people can go to this is through the MAC, so you go to mauiarts.org or call 242-SHOW. Get your tickets right away. It's the last weekend, and you'll be so sorry if you miss out on this. You know, you really have to go see this show. And I want to thank you, Peter, and everyone at MAPA for doing this amazing gift to the community.
It's our pleasure and our passion to do this.
And you know what? That is really obvious. Truly, truly obvious when you see. You could never just go. This is not going through the motions on this performance. This is heart and soul, right out there, and everyone giving it their all and exceeding that. So, all I can say is bravo, bravo. I'm just thrilled to meet you, David. Great job, and thanks to everyone. Angel, lovely meeting you. You expressed
Yes, you too. Thank you.
your thoughts so beautifully. And again, we're blessed to have MAPA as part of our community. Get out there and support it, folks. You know, if you don't support the good theater, you lose it. You don't want to lose this kind of wonderful, amazing talent. Thank you so much, and aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.